Howdy, folks. James at REXEM, rexem.com.au with Gary, the Gandalf. Ray, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good man. It's been a minute. But we're back.
It has been a minute. In fact, I better turn my phone off, otherwise shit's going to get... Sorry. Otherwise stuff's going to get wild. Oh, man. Bit to talk about, hey?
Yeah, testing, new things, old things, things from the past.
Yeah, so I figured we may as well start with the bullet lineup that you see behind me, right? Let me just shift away for those. Right. So, as you can see, we have the Pig Hammer, we have the new F-Bomb that has some slight changes to it, which is, as you can see, a hybrid. So I've left the trace lines on. There's some small changes to the 106 grain F-Bomb. We have the new 130 to 140 grain 6.5, which we'll talk about in a minute. And as you can see below, we've got a 308 155. All very different.
I just got excited then.
I think a few people are probably, let's say, getting brass instead of wood about it, which is cool. Yeah. But what's happening basically is this is a really big transitional period for us because we're moving now into national level automation very, very soon. And there's a lot of big components coming in. So we've had a bit of time to do some testing and really nut out the projectiles that we're going to release as like a major. And our tooling is better than ever before. We can repeat these within millions of rounds, ideally, or hopefully. It looks that way at the moment with no changes. Like batch to batch is going to be super cool when this happens. So this is basically your future lineup. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Man, I'm all for it. I don't shoot the 223 as much as I used to, but that 106, that's been absolutely killing it. And I suppose we haven't spoke about it yet, but after the last batch of testing on the weekend, I'm keen as for 130s. I really am. I can't wait.
I did see your groups. I was pretty excited by that. I think it's looking like it's going to be a fantastic bullet, and we should actually have a chat about BC versus like aerodynamic stability, because that was a serious issue that we encountered, and I actually forgot earlier when we were talking about this podcast to mention it. But I just wanted to point out that the hybrid ogives here, I've designed them in a way that makes sure that they make full contact with the lands in terms of their depth to still give the advantage of the tangent ogive in terms of seating depth stability. Like it's still going to be like maybe not as easy as like an 8 cal ogive, but it's going to be pretty good, right? And from the work that we've done and the testing we've done, I think this is a really good match. Like there's no free lunch aerodynamically, right? So we've made some changes to the bow tails as well, especially on the 106. But yeah, man, like, do you want to tell the story of our early testing with the 130s and 40s and where we're at now? I mean, just be honest about it. Like,
well, to be fully honest,
yep.
you kind of designed a 140. 140s were the first thing we tested, and it was long, thin, sleek, and looked like an absolute missile. Mm-hmm. But it came at a price. It came at a price, yeah. It was too finicky. It had one point where it wanted to load, and if you come out of tune, it didn't take much.
Yeah,
you went from okay to absolutely not okay.
Complete garbage, man. Like, be honest, like it was terrible.
To be honest, it looked good, but it didn't perform.
No.
And then we went back to the drawing board. What's important here? What would you rather? A missile that you can't control or a brick that goes through the same hole?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, not a brick, more brickish.
Yeah. Like a 747 that always hits its landing strip, or X37 that, sometimes doesn't even make it to the base because it loses control.
That's kind of it.
Yeah,
Which we'll touch on that again later when we talk about BC. Because I've got a good theory about that I personally stick to.
Yeah.
And I think it's starting to, not that it's my theory that why it is what it is, but I think it's starting to become a lot more mainstream thought across the industry. After watching the stuff from SHOT Show.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But as for now, the 140s and 130s that I tested on the weekend, man, yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
They went from good
I
to...
hate you questioning your rifle, your scope, your action, your stock.
I was at the point, like, I can shoot. Like, I'm not going to go to the Worlds, but I can shoot. Yep. Like, and... after testing that first lot, I was like, what's wrong here? Is my gun broken? Is my scope broken? Have I forgotten how to shoot? Am I closing the right eye? I was questioning everything. Like, it was causing me a little bit of stress that I couldn't make them shoot. And then changes, I went to the range with one powder load for the 130s and 140s and a seating die. And man, after the first two groups I shot, I could have come home.
That was like a 3-shot in the .2s there somewhere, and you were like, I'm done.
Yeah, .2. It wasn't attuned. Like, it wasn't great. Like, I think I just let the Super Trickler throw a load. It was up near max for a different bullet, but I can probably say the load, like, bloody hell. It was in a Creedmoor. It was 41.5 of 09.
Yeah.
That was just a nice run-of-the-mill load.
Yep.
And I seated everything long, went to the range, started at a magazine length. I could feed them in the magazine, not that you could at Belmont there, but and I shot the first group, and I had a good mate of mine, Adrian, with me, and he was watching through his scope, and I shot one, and I'm like, oh, hit the paper. This is looking good. I shot the second one. And, well, compared to the one what we had before,
I was like, wow, that's a big improvement.
Yeah, like, this one got to the paper. This is good.
Yep.
And I squeezed off the second round. I was like, oh, well, this is the moment of truth, Squeezed off the second one, and I'm looking through my scope, and I'm like, it hasn't hit the paper. I've missed. Like, this is bad. And then Adrian goes, Gaz, that first hole just got bigger. I was like, oh. I looked again. I'm like, oh, it did too. So I could have turned around and come home after that. I knew they shot.
Yeah.
Like,
But you persevered and shot some really good groups that day.
We stuck it out. We shot, I think I shot 12 groups for the day. The last 3 groups were another test item, which didn't particularly succeed. But, you gotta break a few eggs to make a cake.
Yeah.
And but the 130s and 140s, they were laser beams.
Yeah. Thanks.
Factory hour with a hunting scope, just testing to see, because the theory is, if an everyday gun that someone can go and buy for under $700 can shoot it, your big match grade stuff, it's going to do it so much easier.
Yeah. I think that pretty much you were hard pressed shooting over half an inch. Pretty much all your groups.
There was no big groups.
Yeah.
There was no big groups. There was one big group, and it actually caused a bit of a stir 2 benches up, because I shot, and then before I said to Adrian, like, mate, that was me, Adrian. I was wobbly. I shouldn't have pulled the trigger. I thought I had it. And I dropped one out around 0.8 of an inch for the 5-shot group. And the blokes laughing. Oh, you're wobbly. That's no good.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it. I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot there were other people here.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. And it's very hard for me to control my language sometimes.
It's okay.
Get excited, But at the end of the day, they shot brilliant. I can't wait. Hurry up and start making them.
Yeah, well,
because I've only got 5 left.
Yeah, it's funny. We've kind of like rabbit holed into this, and we may as well just run through it, because I think it was really sort of pertinent to the 130s and 40s and stuff. Is that BC isn't everything. And we
No.
we aim for, we got to be better than the next thing and better than that. But I think there's so much more in stable geometries, good aerodynamic stability. Like that's something like, we're new to the market, like we're a new player and we're learning these things the hard way and the expensive way.
Yeah, it's an
But
expensive one.
yeah. And I guess I would take aerodynamic stability and ease of tune and lose, instead of getting a 0.55 BC, I'd take a 0.52, knowing that if my seating depth's a thou or two either side, it's not going to matter. If my brass is slightly different in case capacity, shot to shot, and we're shooting out at 5, 6, 7, 8, 900 yards, I'm going to take that aerodynamic stability, that balance, center of pressure versus center of gravity, sort of benefits over something that is like cutting edge. And that's a new thing for me now, because I've always been like, it's got to be cutting edge. We've got to learn new stuff, reinvent the wheel. But now I'm like, actually, there is something to be said for consistent quality, that if you just have to, what did you say? If you had to, you'd rather click up 2 more clicks and put it through the
Yeah,
same hole every time than not have to. And, a thou different seating depth is going to
yeah,
ruin my group.
yeah. I look at everything from shooting paper, targets, like F-class matches, Sporter Hunter matches. I look at everything from that. Would I rather something that's got a stupidly high BC, but it inherently becomes very hard to stay in tune when you find a tune,
Yep.
and it sprays all over the place when the temperature goes up 2 degrees, or the humidity changes, whatever it may be, or have something that's not as high a BC but super consistent, goes through the same hole, but instead of clicking up 1.9 mil, I've got to click up to 2.1.
Yeah.
Like I've got the turny dials on top of the scope for a reason.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yep.
just turn it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
Because you used
sometimes
to,
when
I was going to say, you used to love this geometry, right? Like, that was the
oh yeah,
original F bomb back, like when we first started. And I think that's still
yeah.
like your favorite for target
It
shooting,
is
right?
still my favourite. Nobody try this, but I still maintain you could load that backwards and shoot an X. It was just just
It
so
was
easy.
easy. It was
It
easy to
was
get
easy.
great results. Like the 80 grainers in my A twist are, like, honestly the most consistently best shooting projectile. They just suffer on the BC front. And you can make the others shoot as good, but the 80s were a geometry that was just easy. Like if
It
you
was
wanted to
easy.
shoot
Like,
half inch or better, you just load the 80s. Just go shoot it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was easy. It was good. I did like it because back when I first started with you, there was a 73.
Yes.
And then we're on the phone one day and you said you're going to change it to 75, and my brain melted. I was like, no,
You're
don't
like,
change anything. This
don't
thing
change it.
works.
Look, well, when
But
we're
then
pumping out,
yeah,
20,000, 50,000 a day, like it's something that's feasible to bring those things back,
yeah,
and there are some changes that will make all of these just better. Okay. And
yeah. Well, the more you know.
exactly, like, yeah, I think people forget that, like, there's 100+ years of research and development that other companies, sorry, have had 40 engineers work on this for God knows how long, and we're finding our way. And to do that requires, investment from the consumer here in Australia to buy our stuff, which is, yeah, man, like, I think it's worth mentioning just to remind folks too. The jackets are about to get made here. Like the production tooling's about to start for the jackets. The machine was built here. The lubricants are from here. The lead's from here. The copper's owned by people here who I know. Like it's literally all coming back here, and I don't think that that's been done for a while. But we still have to learn how to do it, and this is why I think coming back to solid basics with the 130 and 40 in the 6.5, and like even in the 308, like if you look at the burger side, the 155 is just a straight tangent ogive, bare bones, basic projectile, but it's
Yep.
consistent, right? We're going to do a very similar thing,
Consistency is king.
Yeah.
Remember some of those podcasts we shot and we didn't release, which one day I hope we do release as a thing.
Yeah, I remember some of those.
Consistency was it was my favorite thing. If you're not consistent, you got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Consistency in reloading, consistency in powder, consistency in seating depth, consistency in bullet, which, you know, we're going to have total control over that, quality control really soon. And, and you know, this is basically the lineup that's going to be opening with. And, you know, and we didn't want to go into it too much, but basically we have new tooling that is going to mean that this die is going to be completely repeatable to the next die, to the next die, to the next die. And we're going to order enough dies to basically make 20 million rounds up front. So, and they're all going to be exactly the same. So even if it wears a bit or whatever, and we put a new one in, it's the same because they're going to be manufactured at exactly the same time with the same equipment, the same stuff. So lot to lot, at least for the foreseeable future, we should be in a good place. At massive investment.
So well, make sure you get that 130, 140 grain. Make sure that's one of the dies.
Look, it is, and you know, I am like, I mean, I've got jackets sitting there that, you know, can basically hit the market at any moment, but I am concerned. And this is kind of like, I guess, a business thing too to chat about. Like, I'm concerned about the time required and the investment versus, you know, I've now got all of these balls, you know, in the air. Got to be a bit careful about where all these finances go because there's a lot of players now. And like, I'm thinking about it. You might see it in the next 2 weeks, but I'm kind of waiting to the end of the week to make that decision. But yeah. So yeah, anyway, that's where we're at. That's a new lineup, guys. 7 mil guys, you're going to have to wait because we want to make sure that these jackets are really good, because the 180 fellas are going to be super pedantic, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not giving them a hard time, but they're going to want some extreme consistency. So we want to make sure we can provide that first. That's all it is. You know, if we can make these, which as far as I'm led to believe from the stampers and stuff, that will be fine, then yeah, we can run from there. Cool. Should we?
Where do you want to run to next?
Well, can I tell you what I'm doing tomorrow? So this is going to be super controversial, but you guys know me, right? And I don't know if you've ever done this, Gary, but I made a mistake. And it reminds me of a meme where this photo of this girl, and she's like, you had all your powders in different bottles, so I just put them all into one for you. You know? Yeah. So I made a mistake. And I was actually pulling a heap of old bullets, right? And I had my powders lined up, of which bullet had what powder in it. And so I could save it, right? Because powder's expensive. And I tipped pretty much an equal amount of 2208 and 2206H into the same container. Now, most people would say just bin it. Put it on the garden.
No, man. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? That's the collective minds of all the FUDs blowing up right now.
No, you're gonna die. No, but blended powders are a thing, actually.
They are, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, it's 50-50. So I'm gonna run the 06H load, and I'm gonna like literally do a side-by-side test with it and just see if it gets any better ESSD spread. I've shaken it up really well. It's really well combined. It's not going to discombine unless it sits somewhere and shakes for probably hours at a time to separate. So I've shaken it up. I've dumped it in a safe way into a number of cases, and I'm going to go shoot it and report back in the next few days. Like,
look, it has to change the properties of it.
Of course it will.
Really, it has to. Whether it's good, bad, or otherwise. If you got an eye patch next podcast, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But I can't see it being bad. Like mix AP50 and bloody some real slow burning powder
Yeah.
You obviously,
Yeah.
but 08, 06H and 08,
Far out.
I think it's going to be fine,
I
man.
think it's going to be just fine. And in fact, I think a lot of people have probably done it without even notice. If you reload enough, like we heard that, the Hornady podcast where guy was saying, somebody confused, was it H1000 with H?
H100, it was 100 or 110 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and blew his rifle up. Like, that stuff happens. But we're talking about two powders with very similar burn rates, very similar
yeah.
stick size. Like, I don't see it being a problem. But I could pick up an extra 100 feet per second potentially.
Oh,
And
well, look, we could be
who knows?
selling Wrexham powder come the end of next week. Like,
Now everyone knows our secret.
yeah,
Everyone,
damn it, damn it. Should have said it.
should have shut up.
Yeah, should have shut up. Never mind.
That's all right. I'm sure I'll be fine. Look, the reality is I've pretty much fired every powder in every case imaginable, and I feel pretty safe doing it. I don't condone this or recommend it. It's not. You should go and try this. It's just I just thought it was a funny story. I'm
Yeah.
sure people have mixed powder. Now, if you're just hunting with it, like who cares? Like as long as it shoots, sub MOA at 100, you're probably good to go shoot some pigs with it and not waste it. Like the tomato bush, I'm sure would love it, but
Yeah,
it gets enough. It gets enough.
Oh,
Anyway.
look, worst case, as long as it's safe, just use it to plink out at the farm.
Yeah, yeah, well,
Like,
yeah.
use it up. It'll be right. It'll be right.
Yeah, I just thought that was a funny story because I was like, as soon as I did it, I was just like, oh, how could I have been so stupid?
Yeah, look, it's one of those things I always worry about it, but I kind of went to the point of deliberately only keeping one bottle of powder on the table. I've
Yeah.
nearly done it. I've come very close, hence why one bottle of
Yeah.
powder on the table.
Yeah, like it's like I just had like all of these Chinese containers with like the notes and two little white cups so I could inspect them and make sure while I was pulling them all. There was like 350 rounds that I pulled or more of just like old 243 stuff and all sorts of stuff that was in my box because I wanted to recycle the brass. Could put some money towards the next powder investment, but yeah, it was a simple mistake. But anyway, I'm going to go shoot it. I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah, I'll be driving past tomorrow. I'll I'll know or not.
Yeah, there'll be an ambulance out the front.
That's it.
Nah, I'm kidding. Hey, guys, it's going to be fine. All right, like just chill.
Yeah.
I did like your comment of it's like that Star Wars thing where I heard the screams of a million souls.
Yep.
Oh dear. All right.
Coffee break, and we'll come back. I reckon, looking at that timer. Coffee break.
All right, I will start another hook into it. All right, so I had a really interesting Saturday. I went to a new club. I was invited by a customer, actually, who brought me along to a 500-meter match, and it was, my third F-class match ever that I've participated in. As you know, my background is more hunting and stuff, and I really appreciated the opportunity, and everyone was super helpful. The members of the club were wonderful. I had a really good experience, and I think that just should shout out to, like, if people are thinking, I've never really been to a match or a long-range shooting thing, and I'm not sure if I can compete and stuff, just do your research on your bullet drop. Make sure you're zeroed at 100 and go along. Like, make a phone call. I think I had a great time. I really did. And so I wanted to talk about, this is the 6GT with the 6mm 06 and my results. I'm not hiding anything. Okay. Third match ever. Not really what I'd call a tuned load to the nth degree, but I'm going to bring it up on screen here. So this is my first group. And it was blowing a gale, by the way. So my first group was pretty wild, right? So I think A and B are my siders and then tend to score. And my 1 and 3rd shots were like pretty wild. And then I was just kind of all over the place, right? A little bit. And again, I got to, like, I'm using a Caldwell front rest, a Caldwell rear bag, no experience with wind calls or whatever. And I just want to give a shout out to, there was a young lady there who sat next to me and started teaching me wind calls and, how to set up and use your siders to pick your shots and your target and see what it's doing. And this is, shoot your first sider when the wind's blowing and second one when it's not, or the flag's in a different position and which flag to watch and stuff. And the second group was markedly better. Like, for someone who's only shot, a handful of, not even a handful of matches, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 X's, 3 6's, and 2 5's. And to be honest, when I pulled the trigger on 11, I knew it was going to be a miss because I rushed it and I knew the flag wasn't blowing in the right spot. And I tried to call that wind, without actually doing a test on it. And 8 was the same. I felt like, oh yeah, I'm getting all these X's and stuff. And I made the error. And there is like wind calls win matches, right? Like,
Yeah,
I guess
for
that's
sure.
the takeaway from this. Like at 500 meters, I was like, wow, that flag blowing slightly differently completely changes your impact point. And I was really surprised by that. So when we were talking, I was like, we only get 2 siders. You got to use them by shooting in if there's 2 different wind conditions happening. Like, this is just what I'm taking away from it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if the flag's blowing hard to the right and you take a shot and it lands in the X ring and then the flag starts blowing towards you or drops down and you shoot, the second sider will land somewhere else. And that's when you're like, well, right, if I'm running out of time or whatever, this is where I expect those shots to go when that flag's doing
Bracketing
X.
the wind.
Is that what it's called?
Bracketing the wind, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. When it does.
Well, that's the way I've had it explained to me. Generally, in club matches, depending on your club, if you've got unlimited siders, like the Americans do, they'll use those to bracket the wind if they've got time.
Yep.
And they'll do it like that. They'll sort of shoot in a couple of different wind conditions and, go from there.
Okay.
It's the wind. The winds are great. Like, it teaches you to shoot. But at the same token, I wish I'd go away when it was my turn.
That happens to people. I've seen that, though. It's like blowing and then somebody walks up to the line each time and the flag's just...
Yep. When I get up there, they start going, we use 4 flags out there at Warwick, I think, for the one I was shooting, and each of them will blow in a different direction. And it's like...
So actually, well, what do you do? What do you do if you've got 4 flags blowing in a different direction or 2 and 2? Do you go with the call on the closest flag, the second flag, third flag, furthest flag? What do you personally do? I'd be
personally,
curious.
At Warwick, I go by the little. I know it's not a weight. Well, F-class flags are meant to be a certain weight.
Yep.
Of that flag. They wear out, they get lighter. They have a certain weight, and you can tell by where they're sitting, technically, how much wind there actually is. You can obviously tell direction by which way it's pointing, but I often go by the second flag or the closest flag and the last flag.
Oh, yeah.
I make my choice from there.
Okay.
But if there's a flag in the middle that's about to bend the pole, well, you kind of have to take that into consideration too.
Yeah, because like the advice I got, which I was really happy with, was, at this stage, don't be concerned with the other 3 flags downrange. Watch the first flag. And when the first flag is blowing hard to the right, that's when you're hitting X's. Get that flag on the right and pull the trigger. And that's what I did, except for 11, because I was like, oh, well, it's down, so I'm just going to aim high and to the right a bit, and there was no wind, and it completely missed the left. But that was a really good introduction for me into wind calls. And I'm not an expert, but when you just look at the target differences between 1 and 2, like, I mean, like the bullet shoots better than I do. Like, God, you put that in the hands of someone who actually knows what they're doing. That 106 shoots good groups. That's a 500-meter group, you know.
Yeah, well, Marin's pulled cleans with it now.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah,
it works. It does work.
yeah, it's a good bullet.
It does work.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I think it's like that win, man. Wow. Like I
Yeah,
was,
the win, it wins and loses matches, man. Like, yeah, I try and I'm not very good at reading the wind. Like, I'm not. There's actually a class you can take down in Belmont there somewhere. It's an actual wind reading class.
serious. We
Yeah,
should
yeah.
go do that.
Kevin actually went and did it from out at Warwick. He went down and there was we did a course on wind reading and that. He said it was quite interesting. He said he came home with a migraine, but
Well, yeah.
it was quite interesting. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Just all this like information overload, I'm guessing, right? But
yeah.
yeah, but
It's all relevant.
yeah, and look, the takeaway that when I walked away from this, because I shot my first group and I was pretty disheartened, right? But when I actually called the win and it was consistent, like pulling the trigger in the same conditions, the bullet just sang. Like it reached out there. Its BC's like 0.513. It shot great groups because at 100, I'm like in the 0.1s and 2s with it, like, and that's as good as I can shoot. You know, I can't shoot under that. And I'm like, I know this load's pretty good, but yeah, it's literally just the wind, you know? And look, and to my defense too, it was blowing hard and quite swirly apparently. But yeah, man, those 106s, they do a bloody good job. I'm really
They
happy.
work.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they
Well, that barrel I've got built now, it's made to shoot those 106s.
that's true. Yeah, man. Jeez. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch you now. You're gonna be like serious competition. I'm gonna have to give you dodgy bullets.
I got to get it yet. I got to get it. Well, Marin took my BR. She claimed that as hers after she got it shooting.
Yeah.
And I had to get my own. So,
Yeah.
but I've got the edge now. I got one of those. Probably caused me more grief than what it's worth. But I had to jump on the bandwagon and get a tuner.
You didn't. Oh, you did actually. I saw it.
Yeah, I got the Cortina V2 Cortina. Look, it'd probably give me. I'll probably have less hair than what I got now by the end of it. Yeah. But I figured you're going to build it, just put it on. Even if I never use it, it just stays set on 0. I'll look good missing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the portmanteau for cheetah tuner. Or yeah. That's cool.
I need every advantage I can get.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I was really excited. Like I had a great time, and I'd love to impress upon people. You know, if you haven't shot F class or Sporter Hunter, like that, it's there for you.
Sporter Hunter's a good one.
Go to Sporter Hunter. Like I shot with a group the other day out at Belmont at the QRA range, and I had such a good time, and everyone there was lovely and supportive and helpful and showed me the ropes. And yeah, it was same as Warwick. You know, I've had nothing but wonderful experiences, and I would impress upon you guys if you're interested in doing some target shooting and really challenging yourself in wind calls and stuff, go have a good time. Like they'll help you. You know,
well, the Sporter Hunter, just about anyone that owns a rifle that's a 223 or up, I think it's up to bloody 30 cal or 33 cal or something. I can't remember the exact range rules without looking at them. That's what Sporter Hunter's for. It really is. It's designed, you run what you brung, you know, run 223, anything. Just
factory ammo.
That's how we started.
Yep.
Yeah, factory ammo, whatever. Like probably a decent factory ammo, I guess you could say to some point. Because with electronic targets, you're probably not going to miss by that much, but they have been hit before.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say, just be sighted in at 100. If you can shoot an inch at 100, you know, just come along. Like
basically.
You know, yep. And I think most guns these days are capable of an inch, you know, without too much trouble if you find a good factory load, whether it's PPU through to Horn Daddy. You can do whatever, you know, it doesn't matter.
Well, that stuff I got the other week for the Creedmoor. That was,
PPU.
I think that's PPU Supreme or something. It was on a major special from what I could tell.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to get it. You know, what's it going to hurt to have it in the cupboard? And man, it's sub-inch, like
Yeah.
straight up out of the box. Bang, here you go.
Yeah.
$34 a box.
Yep.
Like, yeah. And it shot sub-inch. So
Yep.
there's Sporter Hunter. It's great. That's
I
what
would have
got
been
me
really
hooked.
disappointed if my 130s and 40s didn't shoot better than it though. With a
they
factory
did.
load, with a factory coal and
Yeah.
load. Yep. But it certainly did.
Yeah, the 130s did shoot better than it. And it only took me 3 seating depth adjustments, chasing it down. And yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
So,
sick. Was that near like a book coal, actually? I should ask that question.
I'd have to go back and measure it. I did measure the one bullet to make sure, like I did the overall length,
Yep.
but then I was using a comparator from then on out, like a 26 comparator. So the overall length, but I went shorter. I went basic, like basic Creedmoor length, and I only come shorter. I didn't go out. I didn't make them longer. I only brought them in shorter. So that they'll fit in everything.
Yeah. No,
So,
good.
yeah.
Good. Like I'm super. Yeah, I was really happy with your results, and yeah, I think again, it's just going back to fundamental basics in aerodynamic stability and just consistent quality, and it doesn't have to be the highest BC in the world to give you the best results by far.
No.
Yeah, I think it's like, when there was a time when, people wanted 110 grain bullets in their 223 with like 6 twists, and it was like heavier. It's got to be heavier. It's got to be, and the same kind of happened with BC, but there's a reason why the 69 grain Match King is still a king.
It still exists for a reason.
Because it shoots, and it's consistent, and it shoots well in almost anything. And, there's a reason for that. And yeah, like I would rather have an Australian bullet that was like good for everything. Cause I got rushed by, I think with customer demand and stuff, there's been 1 or 2 times in my life where I felt rushed to get a product out that didn't go through probably as much stability checking in the past that it should have. And I think, yeah, like I've got to run my own race in that regard now. Like it's got to be stable, consistent, and I'd rather that than, adding 0.02 on the G7. I don't care. I'd rather it just be a solid, consistent target / varmint bullet. Also, that 130, 140 will expand violently in game as well. It will do fine, because the earlier 130s, there was a lot of concern that some people couldn't make them pop. They just drill holes through stuff. These ones don't do that at all. They did go to a couple of people into some pigs, and they did very, very well. I was very happy. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I said too much then about the early days, but hey, it's a learning experience, right?
Yeah, look, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah, God. There's a reason why I've got all these grays here. I used to be like fully dark bearded, man. No grays on my head. I used to have eyebrows. Legit. Oh, dear. It's getting quite great.
Ah, you'll be right.
Yeah.
You'll be right. Silver fox in no time.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be my own wizard.
That's it. Oh, shit, I'm out of a job.
Oh, dear. Well, what else have we got going on? Like, there's got to be... Actually, should we take a quick 2-minute break?
All right, then. Well, if we're rolling, We'll move into Cartridge of the Week.
Oh,
but I'm going to be asking you this time.
Yep.
What's the Cartridge of the Week this week? What hit me?
Only the greatest cartridge ever invented by man.
Oh, yeah? Yep. 4570.
No, 22G. No, I'm gonna go cartridge of the week for me is the 22 GT. As you know, I did a project build on one, and Oh my goodness. I love this thing, man. Like it is amazing. It's fast, it's flat, it's a reasonable powder load. Loading for it's been easy. I'm shooting in point ones with 69s and 75s without much work at all. I'm running Creedmoor large primer, Bertram small primer, Lapua small primer, with old Creed brass. It doesn't seem to matter. Like small changes for each brass, of course. I'm running Forster 22 GT die, but since I'm neck turned, I actually have a Wilson 6 GT bushing die. So I've just bought some bushings to push that down to 3 thou interference rather than, because I'm getting about 2. I'd like it a little bit tighter, not because it's not shooting well. I just would like it a bit, a bit tighter. I just want to feel a bit more positive feel. Like, you drop a bullet in and you're like, but I want that positive compression feeling on my lever each time. So,
well, one or two things is going to happen. It's either going to shoot better, the same, or three things actually.
yeah, better, the
It's either
same, or
gonna
worse.
shoot better, worse, or stay the same.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll be an issue. So, but yeah, man, like I actually haven't even put the thermal scope on it and gone hunting with it yet. So, hopefully, soon I'll really put it through its paces. But man, I've got 75s punching out at 3300. I've backed that off because that's hot to like 3240, but I'm running like 31 point something grains of 06H or 32 point something grains of 08 to get stupid velocities with great accuracy, and it feeds in my 308 mag. I haven't needed to expand it up to shoot in 6GT because I have Alpha 6GT brass, but yeah, man, that's my cartridge of the week is the 22 GT. Like, we've had the 223 and then we had the 22 250, which has always been there for 50 years. And they've tried the 20. I had a 22. I've had a 22 Creedmoor, but the powder load is stupid, right?
You nearly had me talked into a 22 Creed.
I know.
But
I loved it.
I can't justify the powder.
No.
I'm tight. I'm tight when it comes to powder.
And you know what? Like, what pig in the world is going to tell the difference between 3250 and 3450 with a 75 grain pill within 200 yards?
Only the educated ones.
That's right. The ones with their notebooks and their radar and their chronograph on their shoulder facing the bullet. Yeah, they'll tell. But
they'll know.
Yeah, but man, it's flat out to 250. Like, there's no holdover. Just point your crosshair on and pull the trigger, and that's what I bought it for. And I think that as these smaller BRA, Dasher, GT cases sort of become the norm, I just wanted to sort of be in that ballpark, getting the most amount of oomph for the least amount of powder. So for me, the 22 GT has been nothing but wonderful. And yes, you might need to neck turn. I haven't tried necking down my 6 GT brass yet to see if I need to neck turn it, but I do have a reamer at Swannies, and I'm not sure if that worked out to be a neck turn or not, but a neck turner from Hornady is like $100 if you need one. I'm using the Forster, lathe at the moment for everything, and it's fantastic. But I've got a Hornady one as well. It works fine. So yeah, what about you, man? What's your cartridge of the week?
My cartridge of the week. Funnily enough, it's nothing new. It's nothing fancy, but I've been hearing a lot about it, and I'm just kind of curious. 708.
You've been kind of dancing around this for a while now. Tell me about this.
Look, 708, because I've seen it shoot well. I've seen it shoot cleans. Every gun's different. It kind of does enough of the same thing, because I've been teetering on, do I adventure into the 7mm game? Because that's where the action is when you go long, isn't it, really? Like, that's where it's
like
at.
Golf, but for men.
Yeah, that's it. The 708 would be probably the minimum, maybe not to shoot to 1,000, but 600 and out just a touch more, maybe.
Yep.
708 would be fine. I'm talking target, not hunting. Yeah, it's like
But the
you look at
708
the
would drop a
options.
massive deer, no problem. Like
Oh,
easy.
I don't think it would have struggle at all.
No.
But yeah, 708, I've kind of been getting a little bit, maybe, but then if you're going to do that, why don't you just get that new bloody, what do they, neck up the 6.5 PRC to 7?
PRCW
jump on that
or something. There's so many.
Yeah, PRCW. What are they? Yeah, PRCW.
I
7
think so.
PRCW?
Like, correct us if we're wrong, guys. I don't know. There's like a million. Like my.
Oh, funnily enough,
yeah.
I actually did. I was watching Speedy Gonzalez, Thomas Gonzalez, Speedy.
Yeah.
I was half asleep last night after a big day at work watching one of his videos, and I heard that Lapua and Brux, maybe the F class team, starting. They've done their own version of the 6.5 necked up, the PRC necked up to 7. They've got their own kind of thing going on with that now. So I'll be watching that one closely as well.
Yeah.
But,
But like, I mean, what
708.
about the 708 Ackley?
Well, that'd just have a little bit more oomph.
A little bit more.
And the fact that I'm tight on powder,
Yep.
I kind of want maximum return. I'd have to do more research. That's why I stuck with the plain 6BR.
I was going to say, man, what about 7GT? PTG will make you a reamer.
It's not out of the
Or
question,
even 7
really.
Creed. I've seen that being done.
7 Creed, it's been one of those on that Blackjack Challenge.
No good.
And it hasn't performed that I've seen.
Yeah.
It's,
I guess my dream 7mm would be like a 7-284. Well, that's actually what a Xi'an or something, isn't it?
Shihane, yeah.
Shihane.
Yeah. That was virtually the Ackley version, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Within reason. I think. Yeah. I don't know for sure. I did hear things about it the other day.
I love the 284 case though. Like, I just think it's schmick. Like,
yeah, it's got a lot of fans. It was the original, wasn't it? Really, like it's what they were using.
Rifle thing, I think. But yeah 708 though, good cartridge.
Yeah, it's just started to get me a little bit curious. If I delved into the 7mm world, that would probably be.
I think it would shoot better than we could, to be honest.
Yeah, we're working on that. Yeah. We're working on that.
But now I got to go and make a 7mm bullet, man. Thanks.
Yeah, well, you don't want to race into something that's not ready. No, really.
No.
Like
we're still learning. Like, I guess for people wondering why, like, we have to learn how to stretch this material in a way that it doesn't break, and that is. Like, anyone who knows anything about deep drawing would know that presents some serious challenges. Like, serious challenges. So when you're talking about a jacket that's 1.39 inches long but only 7mm, say 7mm in diameter, or 284, it's a problem. So we just got to be sure. So yeah
708. That'd be my cartridge of the week this week because I can't 460 again.
Are you just watching 708 videos all day long on YouTube at the moment? Every chance you get? Yeah, I get the same.
What was the other one? It's too much powder. I don't think I'll get justified returns for the powder load for what I do. But there's that 280 Ackley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it just, it's flat. Man, it's flat.
I had, because that's the 3006 case, right? Based on that, it's like blown out and.
I don't know.
I think
it is. It's
Yeah, pretty sure it is.
Either way, it's a pencil bullet. She's long and thin, which kind of goes against the grain of what I've been doing lately, which is short and fat.
But I had a 606.
Works.
Yeah, I had a 606, and it shot a 65 grain VMAX at 4,300 feet per second, and it was accurate. It shot better than I did. So that case can be accurate. I know it can. That's probably why it's so popular. Like, in a 7mm, it would be a rocket ship. but you need a long
Yeah.
action.
Yeah, well, I know someone that has one.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
I do have one, but it's got a Magnum bolt face, so you're gonna have to do the PRCW.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I've been interested in too. Is just the plain Jane. I know you don't particularly like it, but the plain Jane 270. I mean,
Really?
like, yeah, look, I know you're dirty on them, but it just. I've got a heap of ammo in the cupboard, and I don't even have a 270. So I'm just thinking, what if I had a 270?
How do I say this?
How would it go?
I'm not dirty on the 270 per se. I think I'm dirty on the type of projectiles people run in them on the regular, like their first choice. And if I had my choice, I'd go between 90 and 110, in my opinion, rather than a 130 to 150.
Yeah.
And that's gonna look. Can you hear it?
Yeah,
Can you hear it
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a faint rumble in the distance.
Yeah. Well, this phone's like, no, it must be 170 grains, or it's like, no, like we have shot hundreds of deer, and the 270's probably done 100 of them or more, and we've tried everything. And geez, I'm sure he'll comment on the thing. He'll be like, yeah, man, I was there, and those 90s. You put that anywhere on that thing, just the sheer velocity and weight of it, flatten it. Absolutely flatten it. So I guess I'm more of a...
Speed kills.
Speed has kill, yeah. That's just lead poisoning. I know that might be controversial, but I don't care because that's been my experience and there's been a lot of it. So I guess my problem with the 270 is everyone wants to run harder and bigger. Bigger is not always better, regardless of what movies may tell you.
Yeah.
Not always.
Yes. No, bullet selection, that plays a massive part, no matter what you're shooting.
Yep.
But, yeah.
But why 270 all of a sudden? What's with this? Like,
I've got a heap of brass I got from I don't even remember where. It looks like it hasn't been shot. And I've just got all this brass sitting there, and I'm like, I need a 270.
I'm actually looking after a mate's 270. It is on my license at the moment. He'll probably comment below. If you're okay with Gary having a shoot of it, can Gary have a shot with that rifle?
Yeah, I haven't shot one. I haven't shot
it's
a 270.
It's a Weatherby. It's got a sporter barrel. It kicks like a mule, but you can shoot it. Yeah. Give it a go.
Yeah, just curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat, but it shouldn't kill me.
No. 90 grain spear, mate. All right. But, man, I've held onto that thing for him for a long time, and I clean it regularly, and it's always oiled and stuff. It's in good nick. It's ready to go. We'll ask him.
Yeah, just 270. Just something I've been thinking about. 708 for a target gun. I don't have a range nearby that I could get to easily that shoots 1,000, so I don't need a 1,000-yard gun. I need a 600 to 800-yard gun.
Well, Belmont shoots to 1,000, so you may as well. A 708, I'm sure, can compete at 1,000, surely. Like I've seen BRs do it, yeah.
Yeah, BRs can do it, but they're ideal to 600. That's why I went with the BR. Nothing bigger. It's a very small powder input to get the bullet to where I need it. So anyway, it is what it is. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah,
the 708. That'll be my cartridge of this week.
Yeah, maybe we need to do a segment where people with weird and wonderful cartridges can post a comment and meet us at a range on a particular day, and we can shoot it and look into it with them. And
yes, very good idea.
Or come to a shoot,
a Sport a Hunter event. That'd be great.
Event, yeah. Let us know you're coming. We'll come and say hi and talk to you all about your rifle and setup and what you've done. And yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah. Well, the Wrexham Range Day, I still think we need to have that on the cards.
We should do that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it just so happens we know a range where we could probably pull that off. But is it central to enough people is the question. But, a little bit of a drive for a little bit of a fun day.
Yeah, it's what,
Could be all right.
2.5 hours out of Brizzy,
Yeah,
roughly. But
yeah.
you can stay there the night in the local town and all that.
Yeah,
Works
yeah.
really well. That's Warwick, if anyone's wondering.
I don't know how many people actually listen to the podcast or how many people will still be listening at this point, but I'm keen to try and set up a blackjack challenge like Cortina's over here. I think would have a range that we could do it.
Yeah.
A legitimate range. Weapons licensing is going to have no issues. Everything above board.
Well, you're a range officer, right? So
yeah, I'm pretty confident we could make this work.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested,
Yeah.
I'd only probably do the 500, exactly the same as what Cortina does, unless
and I
someone's
think
got
that's
some brainwave.
challenging but competitive, and obtainable for people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's something I've been flinging around, but is there enough interest in it? Could we get enough people to actually come out and have a chop?
Oh, I reckon so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we could.
Bring your 223 up to your 7 PRCW and come and have a go. Be good.
Yeah, I don't care what you bring, as long as it's within the range rules, and we would certainly let anyone interested know that gets onto us. We'll let you know what you can and can't bring.
Yeah.
It's basically 22 up to 33 cal, 8 mil. There you go.
Yeah,
I remember.
okay, cool.
8 mil. 8 mil. I think the range speed limit is 33 or 3400, which not too many people are going to be cracking that, realistically.
Yeah, that's fast. Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, that's honking. Like, yeah, I think it's something we can look into.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I'll let you do some research on that, and then sort of next podcast we'll have a bit of chat about it and see where that kind of ends up. All right, guys. So, look, that's it for this podcast. Like, generally, we're just talking smack here. I don't know if it's been helpful or interesting or whatever. We didn't do any reloading tips or tricks, actually, this week, but we can do that next week. This is probably going on for long enough. I think we've probably upset enough people for one.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, it's your mission accomplished. Oh, dear. All right, man. Well, look, we'll be in touch soon. Thanks for being on the video again and the podcast. I appreciate it.
No worries, dude. I look forward to it. It's great fun.
All right. See you soon.